Hello, my name is Brian Freestead. I am doing game dev live stream update. Been working for 2 or 3 hours today on the project that I'm working on, which is titled ChronoPlatformer. It's a work in progress name. It's a 2D puzzle platformer game, and I'm working on a container and inventory system right now, so that way I can have some treasure chests in my tech demo, which I hope to have out in the next week, right by the end of next week. So I worked on a couple things. I'm finished input to open and close chests, and I've been working on mouse input to take or add an item. I don't think I'm going to fully finish this tonight. Probably not tomorrow either. I'm going skiing tomorrow, my last ski day of the season, and probably will be pretty tired by the end of the day. Might not do much game development, but if I have some thoughts while I'm skiing, I might want to tinker with it. So I'll start by showing off what I've got. Let me make this a bit bigger. So I've done a couple things. I've set it up so that when you walk up to a chest and you press the E key, it will open up the inventory, and when you press E again, it'll close it. If you walk away from the inventory, it'll close automatically, and it will only open the chest that you are nearby, standing next to. If you're not close enough to it, it won't trigger. So I'll start by demoing that. So there, I press E, it closes. Press E again, open, closes. Open, I walk away, it closes. Go over to this one over here, it's empty. Cool. So that's that system. How that works is I had to add a new thing here called interact with container to my control mapping. I set that to the E character. It's a scriptable object, so I've got an input thing for that. Then in the input mapping, I trigger this event, player interacted with container. Then in the container UI, I will listen to and see, no, it wasn't this one, sorry. It was another one called Open Container UI. Open Container UI goes on to the this goes on to the chest, and it has a hey Driller Spinky, thanks for joining. I'll make sure you get your points for commenting tonight. So the Open Container UI has a layer mask that says, like, okay, what things can I trigger with? It has a prefab to spawn, then has some internal stuff to keep track of. Is it open already? How many things have entered it? How many things have exited it? And then it keeps a reference of the one that's currently open once it opens it. So it will, on awake, set the enter count to 0 and says it's not open. Any trigger that enters it, we check if it's in the mask. If it is, we increment the count. On exit, we decrement the count, and then check if it's now 0 and the chest is currently open, we'll close the UI. Respond to player interaction. So this is when I press the E key, this gets called, and if we're not open, and we can, then we open. Otherwise, if we are open, we close the UI. Open and close UI just instantiates the prefab. and then sets the container to float above to this self. Let me set is open to true. On close, we destroy and set equal to false. And it can open is returns true if the enter count is greater than 0. So if at least one thing is entered. The reason I do this is because there might be multiple trigger or multiple colliders or whatnot on the player. And if one enters and then another one enters and then the first one exits, but the second one is still in there, we don't want to close the inventory just because you started to move away from it. And that's that whole system. That works pretty smoothly. The next thing I spent quite a bit of time on was mouse input to take or add an item. I started working on this, then I got thinking like, man, if I want to add controller support, this is going to be a big pain to rework this. But I just got to stay focused on what I'm working on. worry about other problems when I get there. But it's in my head now. I'm thinking about it. It's like, so I can mouse over things, or I can like press the, if I click on this one and then well, maybe this isn't a great place. Sure, whatever. Let's look at Excel. So in Excel, right, I can like click and the mouse moves around. If I click, I go to a new one. Otherwise, I can use the keys to move around and navigate around Excel. So I should be able to do both. And then like the key surrogate on the controller would just be the D-pad or something like that. But it's a little bit too much to think about how to figure that out right now. And it's already difficult enough to do the taking and adding an item stuff. So here's what I came up for that. I was at first going to I did put the cursor position into the player actions object, and then I update that here in the input mapping, like so. I was going to listen to it in the inventory space UI, but then I found out about this really cool thing called on mouse up as button, and this will work as long as your let me get one open real quick. So if I walk up to a chest, we've got our container thing now. We have an inventory space, and as long as there's a box collider on it, this thing will work. So if you click and release over the same collider, then this function will get called. So it basically treats the collider as a button. That's super, super handy. Like really, really handy. So I put a log here that says I clicked on an item and it prints the name of it, and then I get the player and I get the player inventory, and then I check if there's enough capacity left, then I will add the item in there, and then I have my container. I had to set this up, so I passed in my container, and then I will remove the item from my container, and that will refresh the container UI as well. Because if you remember down here in update, if the UI is not fresh, if the counts are not the same, then we will update or reset up the UI. Okay, so let's try this out. If I click on one of these, it should disappear out of that inventory, and then I can go look at the scriptable object data from my inventory as a player and see that it's in there. I don't yet have a way to add a game object. I'm thinking about it. I'm probably going to use a base class, and some inherited classes will have like inventory space and then like an item space and an add an item space or something like that as the two child classes, and shuffle some things around. That's going to bleed into next week though, most likely. So okay, I'm gonna click play. So now go here and I'll click on the gold coin. See that disappears from there? It's now no longer in that chest. Now if I go look at the player's data, you see the player has it in their inventory now. I now have an Aureus in my inventory. How cool is that? And then if we let the day, I'm just going to press T to reset manually. Now the gold coin's back in there, and it's no longer in my inventory as a player. I can take the silver coin instead, the denarius. That's cool. I think it breaks if I click the empty space right now. Yeah, there was a null pointer exception there. Expected that to happen. So, that's my update. I can't quite do this test yet, so these things are gonna have to roll over. Got a pretty good burn down. Burn down this week, so I'm not gonna chalk it up yet though. I'll chalk it up tomorrow and call that good. So notepad, accomplishments, player can open and close container inventory by pressing E. Inventory closes when player walks away. Clicking on an item while clicking on an item in a container inventory will move it to the player's inventory. Next time or times, these are like the next thing I'm gonna work on. Highlight on item, hover, add item to container. Yep. Okay. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Drewless Pinky, for joining. To others who are hearing this, that means you're probably watching this on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you found this interesting, if you think the progress is going well, or if you like the name Aureus and Denarius for the coins, or if you know how to pronounce it correctly. Maybe it's Aureus or something like that. I don't speak Latin, so any comments like that are cool. Thank you. As always, have a nice night.